Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're back working through the Liber Astartes from Warhammer the Horus Heresy, which was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy in advance by Games Workshop to me, with the Imperial Fists. So we're jumping in with, of course, the 7th Legion, the Praetorians of Terra, Rogal Dorn and his big gold boys, who are, of course, integral to the Siege of the Emperor's Palace. Now, these reviews of all the individual legions are sort of help to get you to, decide if you're excited about a legion, what do they do, what's their feature, what's their focus, and, kind of have an idea of whether or not that's the one for you. So, of course, the Imperial Fists, important, not so much, they're not featured too heavily in the story of like not the Great Crusade, but the sort of like build up to the heresy itself in the novels, but they become very important during the Siege of Terra and like as the fortification of Earth starts. You're gonna get some special rules here, advanced reaction, your own traits and stuff too. So if you are an Imperial Fist, what do you gain? Everything in this little black box here. Discipline and Resolve, models of the special rule, gain +1 to all hit rolls with auto weapons or bolt weapons as part of any shooting attack, including part of any reaction. So all your bolters and auto weapons hit on 2s. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And you could hit on 2s with higher weapons or ballistical rerolls even for certain characters. You get the Vaults of the Flanks for all your unique equipment, Lords of the Imperium, which is your special console types, and then Sentinels of Terra for your Warlord traits. And then you get your advanced reaction. So now once per game, the Imperial Fists can do the best defense. It's made once per battle during the opponent's movement phase. When an enemy model moves within 10, not 12 like normal, and line of sight of any model with the Imperial Fist special rule, in a unit under the reactive player's control, which makes this reaction. The reactive player may declare a charge for the reacting unit against the enemy unit which triggered this reaction once that unit's completed its move. And as if it was the controlling player's assault phase, with a charge distance in inches equal to a d6 plus the lowest unmodified initiative characteristic of any model in the reacting unit. And any charge modifier that the unit has. So basically, if your movement is like an 8+, you might gain a +1. If the charge is successful, the units are locked in combat and fight in the assault phase as normal, with the charging unit benefiting from any charge bonuses, Hammer of Wrath X, etc. And if the charge fails, no surge move is made. So if someone comes within 10, you roll d6 plus probably 4, and see if you get into combat. So it's honestly not the best reaction in this whole thing, but you could save it for like a Primarch or a super high initiative miniature and have it have a huge impact on the game. Just don't expect, unless they come real close to you, which most people probably won't, don't expect it to be a huge game changer. And if you roll that 1, they need to be within 5 inches to do it. So it's a bit dicey as far as the reactions go. I'll be honest, it's the one I've seen that I'm like, the Space Wolves are kind of a version of this, which we talked about previously, and in that one it's, if someone ends within 12, they get to move their initiative, then roll a 2d6 charge. So it's just this, but better. I mean, it's not terrible. It's a flat, it's basically the same thing, but you're rolling 1d6 instead of 2d6 because you're adding your initiative to the roll. I don't know. Anyway, but that's what you get, basically. The best defense is a good offense. And then you get 3 warlord traits. So the first one is Solar Marshal for Loyalists. A warlord with this trait and all models in any friendly unit that the warlord joins gain +1 weapon skill when locked in combat with 1 or more enemy units that have the traitor allegiance. You hate traitors. In addition, you can make an additional reaction to the opposing players in any of the opposing players' phases as long as the warlord has not been removed as a casualty. But this additional reaction may only be made by the warlord's unit and does not allow any unit to make more than 1 reaction per phase. So basically, you get an unlimited like different phase. So any of the phases reaction, but it has to be that warlord in his unit. A Warden of Inwit, when within 6 of an objective, or within their own deployment zone, or with this trait, and any friendly unit that the warlord joins automatically pass any morale checks or pinning tests they're called to make. You get an additional reaction in the opposing player's assault phase as long as you're alive. And then Architect of Devastation. This warlord and all models with the Astartes Imperial Fist special rule, and any unit that they join may reroll failed hit rolls of 1 as long as that unit is entirely within a terrain feature that grants a cover save or embarked in a fortification. In addition, an army with this warlord trait may take an additional reaction during the opposing player's shooting phase as long as they're still alive. And then Rites of War, you're going to get 3 different Rites of War. So different ways, variants in which you can use your units inside your force organization chart. Basically allows you to tailor your army in different ways. So the first one is phalanx. So they're going to refer to some units we haven't talked about yet, but I'll get to them in a second. The first one is that phalanx warder squads can be taken as troops. All models gain the line subtype and Heart of the Legion special roll. So you're going to get that 6+ wound shrug and fearless next to objectives and gain lines. So you can count as scoring. Any models in attachment using this Rite of War and with the Imperial Fist special roll with a boarding shield, which is in unit coherency with at least 2 other models that also fit this criteria, can reroll all failed and vulnerable saves against shooting attacks or attacks made in the fight subphase. Basically, you have like a shield wall. This bonus may not be claimed if you ran, charged, or made a sweeping advance, or if you're falling back. And any model in attachment with this Rite of War, with at least with the Imperial Fist's special rule, with a boarding shield, which is in unit coherency with at least 2 models that also fit this criteria, gain Hammer of Wrath in the assault phase in which they charge. So let's just skip ahead to the Phalanx Warder Squad. It's basically a fast attack choice. They come with bolt pistols, power axes, bolters, boarding shield, frag, and kraken. It's basically Fafnir Rand's boys. And we'll take a look at them in a second when we go through the units, but that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking breachers, basically super breachers, the Imperial Fist super breachers as your troop choices. But a detachment using this Rite of War must select Phalanx Warder Squads to fulfill all your compulsory troop choices. A detachment using this Rite of War may not deploy models using Deep Strike or Subterranean Assault or Flanking. An attachment with this Rite of War cannot take more elites and fast attack choices than they have troops in their detachments. So basically, you're stuck taking breachers. I'm really hoping they come up with a plastic breacher kit. I'm sure they will make something like that because the breachers are going to be super possible and they just look cool. Just guys with ride shields, looks cool as hell. Rite of War Hammerfall Strike Force. So your Phalanx Warder Squads. So these guys. May be taken as troop choices. All models gain the line type. Or sorry, not the line type. All models gain the Deep Strike special rule for 30 points per unit. All models in a unit composed entirely of models the infantry unit subtype in this detachment, not even the just the warder squads, may be given Deep Strike for 30 points. And all models in a unit composed entirely of models with the infantry unit subtype that have been upgraded of Deep Strike gain Shrouded 5+ when they deploy using Deep Strike. So basically you're just this like super teleportation army all of a sudden. Models of the vehicle unit type taken in a detachment in this Rite of War must begin the battle in reserve and may not be assigned Deep Strike, Subterranean Assault, or Outflanking, and you can't take fortifications. So you can buy Deep Strike for everybody. You're basically like an orbital teleportation murder squad. And then finally, Templar Assault, because the Templars basically are, already in existence in the Horus Heresy. They're like a sort of like a faction inside the Imperial Fists. And they have their own unit type, which is the Templar Brethren, which are an elite choice. They're artificer armor, power swords, and bolt pistols. So they're basically just melee dudes. They can be taken as troops. They gain the line subtype on Heart of the Legion for holding objectives and getting a shrug. For the duration of any turn in which a Templar Brethren unit, as part of a detachment using this Rite of War, disembarks from a model, all models gain Rage 2, but not for emergency disembarkation. So basically, if you ride up in a vehicle and jump out, you gain Rage 2 for the duration of that turn. And Rage 2, just for those people watching, if you don't know what that means, is a turn in which you charge, you get that number of attacks added instead of just the normal 1. So Rage 2, you're going to get +2 attacks on the charge. A detachment using this Rite of War must select Templar Brethren to fulfill your compulsory troop choices. This Rite of War may only be taken for loyalists, and detachments using this Rite of War cannot take more elites and fast than they take troops in this detachment. So basically, you've got a all Sword Brethren, so you want to make Black Templars, you can do Horus Heresy Black Templars, an all Breacher teleport, an all Breacher plus teleport, and then just an all Breacher ground assault as your Rites of War. But again, if you're going to make that right now, you're talking about getting some resin, because either you're converting all the swords in the Templar Brethren, or you're using like the contemporary maybe Primaris bits for them, or you're going to grab Breaching Shields, which will probably be from Forge World right now. All right, the armor of the Imperial Fists. You can take a Vigil Storm Shield. So your independent characters and Imperial Fists guys basically did not have the unique unit subtype can take this for 20 points, so if you're not like a special character. Additionally, any model with the Legion Astartes Imperial Fist special rule that's part of a Legion Tartarus Terminator squad, Tartarus Command squad, may exchange their Combi Bolter for a Storm Shield for 15 points. You can have Power Fist and Shield, which I think is super cool. Any models with the Astartes Cataphracti squad or Cataphracti command squad can exchange their Command Bolter for it as well. So you can basically have a 3+ invulnerable save, but they don't stack with other invulnerable save modifiers and can never be modified in any way. If a model has another invulnerable save from the controlling player, must choose to use one. A model with the Vigil Storm Shield can never gain an additional attack for being armed with 2 close combat weapons, or use 2-handed special rule weapons. So, Storm Shields for everybody! And they're actual 3+ invulnerable save Storm Shields. Teleport Strike, all of your Terminator squads basically can take Deep Strike for plus 25 points per unit. Any model with Legion Astartes Imperial Fist independent character rule may be given a Deep Strike for plus 20 points as well. Basically, if you're riding around in flanks, you get giant teleportariums, they'll send you where you want to go. And then a Solarite Power Gauntlet. Your Power Fist can be replaced with those for 5 points, or exchange a Thunder Hammer for it for no additional point cost. Your Strength 10 AP1 melee unwieldy. So Strength 10 AP1 Power Fists. No big deal, just Strength 10 AP1. And then 3+ invulnerable saves. Some of the toughest Terminators in the game. You can also take an Iliastus Assault Cannon, which is an auto weapon, so you get +1 to hit with it. Your special rule and infantry unit subtype can exchange any heavy flamers for them. So all of your heavy flamers in your Terminator squads can be exchanged for them for 10 points. A Legion Praetor may exchange its turn-mounted Predator Cannon. A Legion Predator, may exchange its turn-mounted Predator Cannon with a turn-mounted twin-linked Iliastus Assault Cannon for no additional point costs. And Dreadnoughts, with the Imperial Fist special rule, may exchange a heavy flamer for an assault cannon for 20 points. And it's Assault 4, Rending 6 plus Malfunction. If a weapon with the special rule is used to make a shooting attack as part of a reaction, it takes the Get Hot special rule for the part of that shooting attack. And it's basically an old school assault cannon. Rending 6 plus, Strength 6 AP4. I love it. I love it. It's just the old school assault cannon. Makes me happy. And then the Legion Constellar is a Castellan for 20 points. So any of your Legion Centurions can be made into this. And it's a Castellan gains the Fire Support special rule and the Heavy Unit subtype. So Fire Support, when making an attack with a heavy weapon, a Castellan may increase the number of attacks made with this weapon by +1. When making a shooting attack, for example, a Castellan making a shooting attack with a heavy 3 weapon would roll an additional dice for its attacks, rolling 4 dice in total. In addition, any Legion Heavy Support squads in the same detachment gain the Line subtype. So if you take that, all of your heavy weapon squads, basically, your missile launcher squads, your las cannon squads, gain Line for holding the line. That's a huge deal for a console upgrade for 20 points. And you can buy one of the following: a heavy bolter for free, an autocannon for 5 points, or an assault cannon for 10 points. I want to do with an assault cannon. In addition, you can't take a jump pack, Spatha jet bike, Spatha combat bike, or Legion scimitar jet bike. Combat shield, boarding shield, power fist, sword, power gauntlet, lightning claws, or any weapon with a 2-handed special rule, because you're basically walking around with a heavy weapon. So you get a heavy weapon console. That's pretty bonkers. And getting the line on all your heavy weapon teams is also really cool. All right, here we go. We're into Rogal Dorn, the big tough boy. He is a big golden stack of tough. He has weapon skill 8, which makes him pretty fighty, but mostly from a defensive point of view. And he's got 7 wounds, an extra wound, and 6 attacks. He's armed with the Auric armor, 2+ armor save, 4+ invul. In addition, he has transhuman physiology. No attack can ever wound him on better than 4+. So that's why he's a tough boy. He's a big stack of wounds that's very hard to wound for most of the other Primarchs. He has the Storm's Teeth. It's a chain weapon, +2 strength, so strength 8, AP2, melee 2-handed, murderous strike 6+, shred, reaping blow 2. So again, not a Primarch killer, more of an infantry killer, but very good at killing infantry. He's gonna have 8 attacks when he's fighting more than one model. The Voice of Terra, it's a bolt weapon. It's 24-inch range, strength 5 AP3, assault 3, rending 5+, like a super storm bolter kind of. And then he's got Master of the Legion. He's got Bulwark of the Imperium, and then that's going to be a successful charge that targets Dorn or Unity Jones. Always counts as being disordered, because just you don't charge the guy who always is the immovable object. He's got Furious Charge 2 when he does charge, though. Deep Strike, Loyalist, and Sire of the Imperial Fist. I love that he just always Deep Strikes, because he's just hanging out in flanks in the Teleportarian, being like, I go where I'm needed. And then Sire of the Imperial Fists, all models of both the Legion Astartes Imperial Fist special rule and the character subtype in the same army as Dorn may use his leadership characteristic instead of their own. And any unit they are part of may add +1 to the total number of successful wounds for the purpose of who won the combat in an assault. In addition, the controlling player of the army Rogal Dorn with can select one phase at the start of the battle before any models are deployed. During that chosen phase, an army that includes Rogal Dorn can make an additional reaction as long as he's still alive. So Dorn's pretty simple. He's tough. He's got built-in transhuman. He's got good, like, infantry fighting skills. He's designed to stand in the middle of a charge, you know, like, with tons of, like, the word bearers, Galvabrak, whatever, charging in, and just fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. And if he does end up in a challenge with the Primarch, he's probably not going to kill them or kill them quickly, but he might grind them down, because that no better than 4+ to wound him, 2+ 4+ is a big deal. And remember, he's still a Primarch, so he has it will not die 5+. Like, he's getting his wounds back all the time, and he's going to be hard to chew through. All right, so we're into unit types now. We got Templar Brethren and Flanks Wars, which we already looked at, and then we're into characters, which is Sigismund. So Templar Brethren, they're no special rules really. They're just guys with power swords and artificer armor, but they got 2 wounds, weapon skill 5, and 2 attacks each. Remember, you can take these as troops if you want. It's a 5-man unit though for 150 points, which means they are relatively expensive for what they do. They get Furious Charge 1 though, and Crusader, and they can take a Rhino or a Proteus. You can also exchange their equipment for a bunch of other special, like, close combat stuff. Phalanx Warders, they got Bolters, Bolt Pistols, Power Axe, Boarding Shields, Frag and Crack Grenades, Breaching Charges, which are pretty sweet, and they get the Lockstep and Shield Wall special rule. So a Phalanx Warder can take up to 10 extra guys to make them like a huge 20-man squad. For every 5 models, you can take a Combi Weapon, Flamer, Melta Gun, Plasma Gun, or Thunder Hammer, and then a Vexillon and Nuncio Vox. Your Lockstep special rule: if a unit includes at least 3 models of the Lockstep special rule and is not locked in combat, all friendly models in that unit, including those in the Lockstep, gain +1 weapon skill for the duration of any assault in which they've successfully charged. And then Shield Wall: models in this unit with the boarding shields, which are in base contact with 2 other models and are never falling back or pinned, add +1 to their invulnerable save to a maximum of 3+. And friendly models, the independent character special rule that join this unit, also benefit from this rule as long as there's at least 3 models with Shield Wall in that unit. All right, so Sigismund, the first captain of the Imperial Fist. We're into the HQ choices now. So this is the guy that founds the Black Templars. He's the original Emperor's champion. So as you would imagine, he is a melee fighter extraordinaire. Weapon skill 7. He's got sort of core console stats almost, but like beefed up. So Bliss skill 4. He's 4 wounds, initiative 5, and 4 attacks. He's got Artificer armor and Iron Halo, the Black Sword, the original Emperor's Champion sword, +2 strength AP2. It's melee, 2-handed, causes instant death all the time, and mastercrafted. So this guy is a challenging machine. He's got a mastercrafted bolt pistol and frag and crack grenades. His warlord trait is the Slayer of Kings. He has to have this trait if you take him. If he's your warlord and slays the enemy warlord in a challenge, you get +1 victory point, regardless of any gain from mission objectives. And all units in the same army as Sigismund that include at least 1 model with the Imperial Fist special rule get +1 of the total number of wounds caused in each combat for the purpose of determining assault results. In addition, you get an additional reaction during your opponent's movement phase as long as you're not dead. So his whole thing is, guys get better at fighting in melee, get initiative VP if you kill the Emperor or the opposing warlord. He's an independent character, Master Legion, fearless, eternal warrior, so you can't instant death him back. Adamantium will 3+, so you can just think of psychic powers away. Dolorous Fighter, and that is when a challenge is issued in any combat that includes Sigismund, Sigismund's controlling player may always accept that challenge with Sigismund. If the opposing player does not issue a challenge, then Sigismund must do so and must nominate Sigismund to fight in that challenge. Additionally, when fighting in a challenge, successful and vulnerable saves against Sigismund's attacks must be re-rolled. So he is just an absolute murder machine in a challenge. And then he's got Death's Champion, Precision Strike 3+. Death Champion is any Sigismund and any unit he joins get +2 to all charge distance and sweeping advance rolls made in that unit. That's insane. So if he wins a combat, he's initiative +7, +6 base, +7 if it's him fighting by himself. In addition, if he's present in a detachment, then that detachment would take Templar Brethren squads as troop choices, regardless of the right of war. So even if he's not, they won't gain line or Heart of the Legion, but you'll be able to take your Templar squads all the time as long as he's present in an army. So a very cool melee fighter, obviously an absolute killing machine in a challenge. Sigismund's probably the one guy that could take Lucius down in a challenge, the Emperor's champion or the Emperor's Children fighter. They would have an absolutely epic fight. And for 230 points, he is spendy, but if you want to make a melee version of Imperial Fist Army, he will do what it says in the tin. Then we got Alexis Polis. He's sort of like your big super Praetor. He's strength 5 off of a Praetor stat line, but only 3 wounds, initiative 5, 3 attacks. Artificer armor, Iron Halo, a Soulrite Power Gauntlet, a Vigil Storm Shield, and then Combi Melta, Frag and Crack Grenades. So you gotta think this guy's gonna be strength 10 with 3 attacks in melee at weapon skill 6, and he's got a 3+ invulnerable save off of that Vigil Storm Shield. He's a Legion Astartes Imperial Fists, independent character, Master Legion, Void Commander. Void Commander is going to be the controlling player may opt to automatically pass or fail any pinning test for Pollux' unit and any unit he's joined. In addition, all models in a unit with Lexus Polis joins while in reserves gain the Deep Strike special rule. So he just always Deep Strikes in. He's going to have Deep Strike himself and then Hammer Blow. During any fight sub-phase, this is his super punch, basically, his 1-inch punch. He can choose to make a single attack with the profile below instead of making an attacking normally. He doesn't get any bonuses for charging or any other special rule. He's Strength 10, AP 1, Melee, Armorbane, Melee, Fleshbane, and Exoshock 6+. He just explodes everything with his super punch. And then his Warlord trait and Master Tactician. After all models are deployed before any rolls to seize the initiative, the controlling player for Lexus Polis may redeploy one friendly unit within the limitations of the mission being played. This may place the unit deployed normally into reserves or bring them out of reserves, but may not add or remove units that have been assigned to a Deep Strike Assault, Drop Pod Assault, Flanking Assault, or Subterranean Assault. In addition, you get an additional reaction during the opponent player's assault phase as long as you're alive. So this guy is like, he's not as tough as some of the special Praetors, but he's got like this ability to just shrug off damage with his 3+ invulnerable save, and he does a shocking single punch. And he's relatively cheap as the special characters go for 185 points. And then at 175, you've got Fafnir Rand. He's got a beautiful plastic miniature now. Artificer Armor, Bolt Pistol, Frag and Crack Grenades, Iron Halo. He's the Headsman and the Hunter, and a Boarding Shield. So his Warlord trait is the Unbroken Wall. Fafnir Rand and all models in any Legion Breacher Squad or Flanks Warder Squad in the same detachment gain +1 weapon skill during any assault in which they successfully charge. In addition, Fafnir Rand as your Warlord, you get an additional reaction in the opposing player's assault phase if you're alive. His weapons, he's got the Headsman and the Hunter. They're both power axes. So you can play him as a single or twinned axe when you attack. It's a single weapon with 2 profiles. In each fight subphase, you must choose one of the 2 profiles to use for all of your attacks. And the Shield Master rule allows Fafnir to make use of a weapon with a 2-handed rule, even though he's got a boarding shield. His single axe is +2 strength AP 2, Melee, Shield Master, Special Weapon, and Master Crafted. And then Twinned Axe is +1 strength AP 2, Melee, Rampage 2, Specialist, 2-handed, Master Crafted. And Shield Master is all hits inflicted by enemy models allocated to Fafnir Rand must reduce their strength by 1 for the Shield Master rule. When Fafnir Rand is locked in combat and its controlling player is chosen to use a single axe profile, then enemy models that allocate their attacks to Fafnir Rand must reduce their strength by 1. When using Twinned Axe, this gains no benefit. Fafnir Rand is not counted as having a boarding shield for any rules that would grant him having a boarding shield, and Fafnir Rand may ignore the usual restrictions for using a weapon with 2-handed while using a boarding shield. And then the Executioner's Tax. When an enemy unit makes a successful charge that places one or more enemy models in base contact with Fafnir Rand, or any model in a unit Fafnir Rand has joined, that enemy suffers D3 +3 Strength 5 AP dash hits. He just explodes when you charge him. These attack hits automatically and are resolved during the fight subphase initiative step 10, but grant no model a pile-in move and do not benefit from any special rule that Fafnir Rand or any other model in the same unit may have. Hits inflicted by a special rule allocated as normal attacks in an assault. So basically, if you charge him, he just explodes into you, and then at initiative 10, and then gets to fight again afterwards. And those are your characters. So Fafnir Rand, cool for your Breacher Squads. Again, he'd be really cool in, and he does have a miniature, he'd be really cool in the Stone Gauntlet or the Hammerfall Strike Force with all those Breacher Squads, because that's what he's designed to do, is lead a Breacher Squad. And of course, with the advent of contrast paints, it's never been less painful to paint an Imperial Fists army. Yellow is historically a not fun color to paint, but with the ability to just throw that stuff down now as contrast, I think you're going to have a far less painful time doing it. And then you're doing all of your trim and details and stuff like that in black. So again, bolt weapons being super powerful, your Legion squads, like your tactical squads and your Breacher squads, are going to go up in value, hitting on 2s for the most part, which is pretty crazy, especially with reactions and stuff. And you get a decent mix of defense and melee. This army really is all about taking hits and then punishing people at close range, because they're basically defenders of the wall, right? Their whole jam is that they dig in somewhere, and you're going to do really well at holding objectives. Lots of line troops, lots of Heart of the Legion, lots of close range shots with your bolters, and then of course you want to get charged so that you can then counterattack and fight back with your cool characters. Of course, if you want to take it to the enemy, then you can make the Sword Brethren, troop choices by taking someone like Sigismund, and you will be the master of fighting in challenges, of course, when he's in the army. So lots of fun to paint. You have a bright, shiny army, and of course, you will be the master of holding spots on the table. And there's not too many restrictions for the Rights of War either. You can still take lots of vehicles, and there isn't even, of course, the option for some deep striking shenanigans with all the Void Warfare stuff. So there it is. I'll look at the Imperial Fists, and of course, their Praetorian Rogal Dorn, and we'll be back with the Blood Angels in the next review. So big thanks for watching. See you for more Liber Astartes. Still in a mash. Have a good one. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My two kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.